jumping off of roofs. The next day, we're jumping off of bathrooms, doing backflips off freaking walls. And
my name is Anthony. Welcome to the Scalability Podcast. Oh my God, that God. So hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Scalability Podcast, and I am joined today by Mr. Rich. And actually, what's your last name, bro?
Alvarado.
Rich Alvarado. Richvizuals on Instagram. You're definitely going to want to make sure you go follow him. And just to give a little bit of context, Rich was actually speaking at one of my very good friends' events. And the event had to do with basically content and leveling up your game when it comes to content. And you guys were speaking to real estate agents. And Rich really caught my attention because there's not very many creatives that I bump into who are very well balanced when it comes to thinking about entrepreneurship and creativity. So that caught my attention immediately. I'm like, man, I got to connect with this guy. So with that being said, man, can you actually give like an intro about yourself?
Cool. Well, I haven't done one of these in a while, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, my name is Richard. So I pretty much come from... I've done a lot of things. I'll just give you a brief summary just to kind of do the scope. I wanted to be a real estate agent. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be a stunt fighter. I wanted to be a professional parkour athlete. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a backpack world traveler. I've been all across the spectrum of like what I was chasing as far as like, actually even before that, I wanted to be, my dream goal when I was in middle school to high school was to be in SWAT team. Oh, like in law enforcement. So like I was just jumping like all across the board.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically from there, I ended up going into videography because I was teaching parkour. Yeah. So, and this is kind of going into, we'll segue, but...
Parkour, like jumping around and like...
Yeah, like climbing, doing flips.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So I started that when I was in middle school. And basically my friend came up to me, showed me a video of someone just jumping off of roofs. The next day, we're jumping off of bathrooms and doing backflips off freaking walls. And it was literally like the next day we saw, we're like, monkey see, monkey do. And we're just on it.
How old are you?
Like 12, 13.
You know what's hilarious? My son, he loves parkour. And you know, this since he was just a kid, he loved jumping off everything. Like I had actually been wanting to take him to like a legit parkour gym.
No, I was gonna say there's one here in San Jose.
Really?
Yeah, 10,000 square foot facility.
Yeah, I gotta go check that out, man, because he's just, I mean, dude, he's crazy. Like this kid, like I get scared as a parent because I'm like, well, not just like you're gonna get hurt, because that sucks. I don't want my son getting hurt, but at the same time, like I don't want to be in the fucking hospital for hours, like with them taking care of your leg either, dog. But if you're just gonna keep on doing it, we might as well just take it serious, you know?
100%. I mean, on that, throughout my years, I did get a couple of concussions. Not gonna lie. I mean, it's just kind of, it comes with it. There's a couple of times I slipped and got wrecked. But yeah, and pretty much that segued to teaching. And then teaching went to, I would just film us at the gym. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, whoa, I can actually like film. Yeah. And then I decided to do my first music video with my cousin for free. Mm-hmm. And I was like, let's just do something, man. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And then from there, just kept going. And yeah, now that led to being a videographer. I went to college and tried to learn at school, and school just wasn't for me. Like I took the classes, I failed every single film class. I took like 2 or 3, and I was just like, it wasn't reading and doing just like the theory of it just did not, like, it didn't click.
Well, dude, thank God that there's nobody saying, hey, you can't film if you don't have a certificate.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about too, because I was seeing some other people and I was like, okay, so you show your work and that's how you get hired. Yeah. But they're not saying, oh, you have a degree. They're just like, are you good? Yeah. So then I was like, okay, maybe I don't actually need to go to school for this route. Yeah. And so that was kind of cool because I was like, okay, cool. I'm not good at school anyways.
Yeah. I mean, you're 25, right? And I talk about generations a lot. You know, I'm 30. I think, you know, your generation's a little more woke than my generation was. Because are you a millennial? You're not, right? You're like on the next one under.
What is? I don't know actually. Yeah, what would it
be? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Pepe's gonna look it up for us. But basically, like, you know, we grew up being pushed college all the time. For you were starting to see like, hey, people are not getting paid. Yeah. You know, enough to even pay back their freaking degrees. Yeah. When they're going to college. But so now you figure out like, hey. You know, I don't need a degree. I just need to put up a dope-ass portfolio.
Yeah.
and then you can go that route, right? So when did you start turning these visuals into money?
So that first video happened, and I did like maybe 2 to 3 free videos with my cousin.
Yeah.
And basically, we did those 2 free videos, and then one of his friends was like, "Hey, dude, you do music videos?" And I was like, "Cool." And the crazy thing, and thinking about it now, it's always like there's scales, right? There's another level.
Yeah, of course.
I was thinking, I don't know what to charge. I didn't know anything, and I didn't have anyone helping me. I was just like, I didn't know anyone who did video besides people doing hobby, like photography. Like, I don't know anyone making money. So I said, $200. And I remember I was thinking, I was like, I don't know. He's gonna say no. It's a lot of money. Yeah. And this is I don't know. I was still young. I don't remember what age, but I was just thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna get paid for this. He's like, yeah, cool, $200. And I did this freaking crazy long music videos. It was pretty difficult. But then that was the first time where I realized, like, whoa, I can get paid for doing this. And it was actually really fun and creative.
So fast forward to now, what's the most you've gotten paid for one project?
For one project, I guess it depends what you'd say, because that could be like 5,000, but that was kind of like a bundle thing. Mm-hmm. If we want to talk about one video, currently right now, it's 1,200, and that's for like a 25-second video.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so I'd say that's for one singular video. Yeah. And I've seen a lot, like the whole spectrum. Like I've met people who are like, yeah, dude, I'm getting like, 10K, 20K jobs, and I'm like, oh, sick. I'm not at that level yet. That'd be really cool. But I also see the opposite, which is people, not even people just starting out, but people really undercutting what they can get paid as far as like what they can offer. Even if it's like, let's just say music videos, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, I'll do a music video for like $200, $300. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whoa. And it's like a full 3-minute video, and it, effects and everything, and like that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting industry. And also, like, if you guys go look at his work, he has the ability to charge $10,000, $20,000 for his work. Like, I've already seen it, vetted. So if you are listening and you want a big commercial production, he's definitely an option to go look at. So with that being said, you figured out how to get to the point where, you can charge higher prices, which, $1,200 for a 25-second video, cool. How long does it usually take you to like knock out that project?
If I were to put it in hours, let me think. I'll put it in this way. Let's say that $1,200 project could be done like time-wise, like the actual amount of hours within a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not like shooting and ending it the same day, because that'd be crazy. But at the amount of actual hours put into it, I would say like less than a day.
So is a day 8 hours? A day 10 hours?
Let's put an example. For that project specifically, it was a restaurant commercial, and we also did a photo shoot too. So that was just adding extra time. So let's take that out. I would say it took about 3.5 hours to shoot. We did it in the restaurant. That edit probably took about anywhere from 7.5 to 10 hours. I'm not really sure. It's somewhere in that range. Because sometimes I just go back and tweak it when I don't even need to, just kind of perfectionist. Sure. Okay. But being done, I would say 7.5, 8 hours.
$1,200 for that project. Mm-hmm. 7.5. So let's see here. So let's just do 1,200 divided by 7.5. So basically, somewhere between $160 or $120 to $160 an hour is what that breaks down to, right?
Yeah, and it's not uncommon to sometimes, honestly, like if I'm just getting paid hourly, it'd be like, it can be somewhere like $100 an hour just to be a shooter for something, and not necessarily like a DP, like a short film and stuff. Like, I actually sometimes have people pay me where they can't afford to make a whole edit or something. Yeah. But they like the way I shoot, and they're like, "Listen, I'll just pay you for your time, and sometimes the footage too, or actually with the footage." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Like $100 an hour, that'll work for them, especially if I know that I'm trying to help them out." Yeah. And sometimes they'll just repurpose, because a lot of people are getting pretty savvy with like CapCut and things like that to be able to grab footage, and it's not going to be as crazy as these edits and commercials we can do, but if they're just like, I just want content, like an example, I was hired by an athlete, and he's trying to promote his fitness page, right? So I can't afford to just do content on a constant basis or pay you for a whole edit where I'm at, but if you come in for 2 hours, 3 hours, $100 an hour, you do your thing, we just knock out these workout videos, and you just, hand me that footage for that, and I'll do the rest.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, dude, like I'd love to help you out in that way. So
Yeah, which I mean, it's good now, right? You're still young, you're 25, right?
Yeah.
But eventually you got to get to the point where you're making like real money. You know what I mean?
100%.
Where you're able to make, have months where you can pay yourself 20 grand plus consistently. You have money to put away. Your living is 30% of your income, right? Like, I feel like, but that's where most creatives will never get.
That's a really good point, and this is where I am at a crossroads, I would say, because kind of to go back a little bit, and this will explain like my thought process on these things.
Yeah.
Every single thing I wanted to do, I always see what's the end result, and I not say nobody does this, but I don't see it that often when I talk to people. Like they think about the process and then the glorified end result, but not the end result you're living it day to day. For an example, and this isn't a bad thing, it's just a personal preference. When I wanted to be a stunt fighter, right? I was like doing flips, me and my friends were doing stunt choreography. I was getting on I was starting to get these small projects for GoFundMe's where I was like the stunt double, and I was like, okay, and I could have pursued that, but then I started meeting people in the industry and I'd seen firsthand people in the industry who were just not taken care of in that industry, and I saw that you were disposable. You break your leg, you're just like, you're done. I mean, it's like an athlete too, but it's just like, you're done and there's not and so then I was like, okay, I don't want to be in a position where if my body breaks, not that I want that too, but I get no income. Like I'm pretty much screwed, right?
Yeah.
So when I would look at these other things too, like being a firefighter, everything about that was cool, right? Everyone loves firefighters. But when I went on ride-alongs and I asked them, like, what is your day-to-day life like? It just wasn't for me exactly. I want a little bit more flexibility. And they have a pretty good amount of flexibility too. I talked to them. But after really asking them, like, what is it like on a day-to-day, month-to-month? Like, regardless of how much you're making, like, what's the actual lifestyle, And it just wasn't for me. And also the pay was also like, I feel like there's a certain point where it stops in all those fields. But so I kind of got a little off topic. What was your question again?
No, we were basically talking about sustainability, right? Or like the being able to make real money again, right? With what it is that you're doing, right? So let me kind of guide us in this way, right? Because I feel like you are going in the right direction. What I would say for someone who wants to become an entrepreneur with a scalable business, right? Because when it comes to like building, because we talked about like you're very interested in like building out an agency,
yes, definitely,
right? And like I was telling you when we met, I'm building a video editing agency, right? And I'll tell you why in a sec, right? But like more of the details why. But I am not a video editor.
Yeah.
I'm not even a creative.
Yeah. I
understand creative. I respect creative, but creative doesn't equal money. Okay. Is what I found. Yeah. So, for you as a creative, like, let me ask you a question. If we were not talking about agencies, and I could not kind of like give you some tips on how to go to create like a scalable agency where you can do monthly recurring revenue and things like that, what direction would you have gone? What direction would you have built in?
Are you saying in the like where I was at before I started thinking about agency, like creative space?
Right. Okay. Let's just say you're starting an agency right now with the current knowledge that you have. What does the agency look like? Structure, all that.
Okay. So it's in the infancy of the idea, but I'll tell you what my thought process is. I realized that there was no scalability on the other side, and as a DP, I was stuck by my time. You can get paid very well, but it's like you have to be on set grinding for 12 hours to get that, and then also it's ups and downs. So then I was like, okay, how do you get scalability or delegate or pretty much make this to an actual company versus a freelance artist, right? The way that I was thinking of it right now and trying to position it is kind of similar to yours, but or what I've seen at least, because I don't know too much in depth, but essentially on offering the getting more on the consistent basis with these companies, because I can bring a constant cash flow. And that's where my mind has been going, because I've been, months would be good and the months will be dry. Months will be good. And I see this in even people who are doing 2-3 times better than me, and I talk to them, and they're just like, yeah, dude, like I'll get a big job, and there's like a month, it's just crickets, and I'm like, man, and I was like, how can you scale or make this plan if you don't even know if you'll make this much or this much, right? And it could be half, and so it's definitely going more towards reels, short form content, things where people can just in high volume push out. The only thing I'm trying to do differently, and this is, again, I'm trying to still formulate the idea, but trying to offer that into a premium market. So like mid to high tier businesses.
Sure.
And it's because I've met a couple recently now that I've kind of switched because my initial approach was cinematographer production company, right? But these smaller businesses, because that's the space I'm in right now currently, it's difficult to get people to pay that type of money.
Of course.
You know, and especially in the small business realm. Yeah, it makes sense. But it's way more enticing to be like, okay, instead of one commercial for $1,500, right, for 20 seconds to show your drinks or something, let's do something in that realm for this amount of reels, right? Or, you know, photos and talking heads and things like that. And I realized in my experiments that has been becoming more enticing in the small business realm too. So I don't know, because I personally don't have connections in like the premium business realm. I would like to, but this is just like in my current realm of small to like medium tier businesses, what I've experienced.
Perfect. So, you know, that's like a perfect way of thinking, right? Because there's a couple things. There's a sweet spot when it comes to the type of companies you want to work with, or the type of like entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. So in regards to high tier, like unless you have those relationships already, it's extremely difficult to get into those spaces. You know, and don't get me wrong, a lot of these connections might be a step away. Somebody who's listening to this might, like, dude, like I used to have a roommate who his best friend's dad was like the right-hand man to the CEO at Walmart. Like, I don't got those connections, but they do, right? And maybe if we have an offering for them, we could do that. But for right now, you're 100% right. So like when I'm looking at products to build, for me personally, I'm looking at, number one, things that I don't have to do myself. Right. Yeah. If I have to do the product, it's not a good product. Okay. That's the very like first and foremost. Because for me, like why I had like it's not even an option for me. Right. I actually like coaching people. I like, I like coaching people. I like being involved in stuff, but I also have, I have a mental disorder called bipolar disease. Right. So I can get depressed out of nowhere and be gone for 2-3 months. Yeah. No one can get a hold of me. You know, I'm gone. Yeah. So if I tie myself to the delivery of the product, it becomes extremely inconsistent. That was like one of my biggest flaws that I was dealing with at the beginning stages of being an entrepreneur, was like going gung ho, like and going after things, because bipolar, as much as you get depressed, for some of us who have this disease, we also get manic, which mania is being on a really high level. Like you're on cocaine, but you don't need cocaine. There's times where I can work 2-3 weeks in a row, sleep for an hour a day, sometimes don't sleep at all, and I'm just on go mode all the time. My brain won't shut up. I'm extremely euphoric, and people, when they see you, they're like, "Oh, he's very charismatic, and he's very all these things." So there's times where like I live in that world, and those are the times when I'm crushing it. I'm getting more work done than anybody. So, but at first I didn't realize I was bipolar. It's not till I got older, and it got really bad. Because if you don't treat it, it gets worse. So and it's something I talk about more now, because there's probably people who, like, dude, I thought I was a failure. Realistically, I'm like, no, it's not. You're not a failure. You just gotta learn self-awareness, right? So once I learned that, I'm like, okay. And it's not even once I learned that. I did not realize that I was building companies to cope with like my mental health, right? Interesting. So now I know, out of responsibility, I cannot commit myself to a product. So I cannot go shoot, I cannot edit, I cannot record, I cannot do anything. Yeah. But what I can do is I can say, what's going on in the market right now that I can fulfill? So the very first product that I fulfilled, that I built up, because before I built up my own company, I was working for other companies, and same thing, it would happen with them too. I would build their companies up and disappear, come back, like all that. But the first product that I thought about was like, okay, virtual assistants. Well, hey, Richard, you're growing. You need a virtual assistant. Let me find you one. What do you need? Video editing? Do you need an assistant? Do you need a whatever? And I charge, the virtual assistant tells me how much they want to make per hour. I mark it up, give it to you, write a contract. I got a company in the Philippines, got a contract with them, got a, contract with you here. You guys go off and do your thing.
Yeah.
I built a team around them, like account management, HR, like all this stuff around them. So now I got monthly recurring revenue. I don't have to deal with the product. I really only deal with like the biggest fires. I recently just took on a business partner because I know that I get depressed. It's better for me to have a business partner who, when I'm not here, he can handle stuff. Yeah. And boom, monthly recurring revenue. All right, bet.
So I was just gonna ask. So what kind of led your business ventures? Like what gave? Because it seems like you learn, you have knowledge in these things, right? Now, obviously, I'm sure there's a lot through trial and error, but like, did you study this? Did you go to school for it?
It's a really great question. So first, like I saw, just like you, I fucking sucked at school. I could not pay attention for shit. It was just not interesting to me. I was a gangster, bro. I grew up on the east side. So school was bad. I started working in a similar industry it's also a creative industry too. It's just a different type of creative, which is website building. Okay. So it's the same problems that you deal with, feast or famine. Hey, a project comes in, $3,000 to $8,000. Hell yeah. We're happy, right? Yeah. We're working on the project, getting it done, but also the same way that a creative project can get delayed because of client communication, because of unseen things, because we said, oh yeah, we can do this, and then fuck, we can't, and right? Like, there's all these problems that happen along the way. Same thing with website development, right? And the same way that you have the person shooting it, you have the DP, you have this, you have that, you have the editor, whatever. Same thing in web development. You have the graphic designer to put together the layout. You have the person doing the HTML, the person doing the CSS. You have the person writing the copy. You have the person So it's the same thing. Yeah. But with websites. So what happened was, I got really good at building websites. A few different factors. So when I was 19, I had to take care of my son. I had custody of my son. So that forced me to, and also it didn't help, like when I was 19 years old, my mom, was getting evicted, and she came to me and she was like, hey, wherever we go, like, you can't come. So I'm like, okay, shit. Yeah. Right. So now I have a full-time job. I'm trying to build this website company. But something happened, right? Like, I don't know why, but, the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, right? I talk about the 4-Hour Workweek all the time, especially if you're somebody who's everybody should read that book, not because you should be working a 4-hour workweek. Don't do that shit. Learn the 4-hour workweek mentality and implement it into your day-to-day, okay? Can you stop scratching your nipple in front of me?
I know it's all doing all slow too. Just continue.
Grow up, baby.
Tell me about this.
He's behind the camera. But anyways.
I know, he kept going too.
He did. But yeah, so the 4-hour work week, and then it talked about outsourcing. And then later on, a book called Virtual Freedom came in. I read Virtual Freedom, and after I read Virtual Freedom, I was like, shit, okay, it taught you how to hire people in the Philippines. And dude, my first virtual assistant, I got him at $2 an hour, and then he started building the websites, and I was like, holy fucking shit. And he built them better than I did.
Wow, really?
Right? Yeah. And I was like, damn. Yeah. And bro, you gotta think about it. I felt like I just discovered the secret sauce.
Yeah, I mean at $2 an hour.
Right. And then dude, so what did I do? I knew I was supposed to shut up about it because you don't give away your trade secrets, but I couldn't. I was like, dude, I started telling all my friends, all my family. I'm like, dude, you could get people in the Philippines. They're fucking awesome, and then I would answer all of my friend and family's objections. because they would say, well, what if they steal from you, or what if this, what if that, what if, and then like I would convince them to hire somebody, and then I would go find that person.
Yeah.
And dude, I helped a bunch of people get jobs, and I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I have to teach, and a lot of times, like, my friends, shit, a lot of times they're idiots, and it's like, dude, they don't know how to manage people. They don't know how to fucking, like, they didn't know the shit that I knew when it came to, I don't know, man, like software and processes has always been second nature for me.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I just been able to touch software. I get it. And probably because like I learned about how to make beats when I was younger.
Okay.
And I had to self-learn that program, and I was making like hip hop and rap beats, and that was before YouTube was out, right?
Yeah.
So I really had to self-learn that. So I think that transferred into business because I just was really good at knowing new stuff. So then we get the virtual assistants for my friend's family. And then I'm like, there's a lot of work. So I did some research, and I saw other companies, charging for the service. And they're charging $8, $10, $12, $15 an hour. And I'm like, bruh, I know how much I'm paying.
Yeah.
I know how much, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is a business. Mm-hmm. So I started productizing it, wrapping it up, putting it into a package. And that's how I came out with my product, right? And it's good because I knew that before this business started, I knew that I needed a product that was monthly recurring revenue for multiple reasons. Mainly because I was a single father, and I couldn't afford to not have predictable income. Predictable income was just like a non-negotiable. I need to know how much I'm going to make, right? Because what the fuck do I look like being a single father, homeless with my son? That's one. Two was, again, like I kept failing multiple times when I was the person who had to deliver the work. I am fucking notorious. I am notorious for starting projects and not completing them and feeling like a failure, right? And I put up with that dude, what that does to your self-identity over a long time, bro, it fucks with you, right? So now I figure out like, okay, so now I have a team for everything. It took like 6 people to replace me in my business, right? So now I have people for everything. And so yeah, dude, that's how I came up with that product. So now what's the difference between like last year, and Outsource Plug is great. It's a 7-figure company. It pays for my lifestyle. We have employees. We get to do cool stuff, right? We took a big hit November, December, but we're already bouncing back. But here's what I realized this year. This is where you and I kind of connected. What I realized this year, again, if I hire a virtual assistant for somebody, or an entrepreneur or a company, there's so many problems that come with that product for management, right? So what I decided this year is like, you know what? I'm better at like, there's been multiple situations where a client is like, this virtual assistant sucks, and then I take them on and turn them into a rock star, okay? And then I start to realize like, dude, the virtual assistant doesn't suck. You suck at management, at motivating people, at creating culture, at creating systems, at creating processes, at training, right? Like you suck at all that stuff, not the virtual assistant, right? Because all we had to do was move them to another company, or move them to my company, or move them with a new manager, move them with someone who gives a fuck, and then they strive.
Are you talking about the clients or the virtual assistants?
The virtual assistants.
Oh, okay, so it's just like having the right guidance.
Right, yeah, and most of these companies, they think that like hiring a virtual assistant, they're supposed to have like superpowers. Like which if they fail with virtual assistants, they're likely failing within their own company too. But anyways, this year for me, I'm like way more about mobilizing the virtual assistants, creating processes, systems, and then creating a brand, putting pricing to it, and saying, hey, now we're selling reels. That I could have sold you the virtual assistant at like a fucking 80% discount. But you don't know how to manage the whole thing and get the end result. But I do. So now we're selling that, right? And dude, we just launched a product a week ago, and we're almost up like 20 grand in that product, right?
That's amazing.
And that's what this year is going to be about. Is what other products can we create? Same resources, same people, but we do the management and all that, right? So that's kind of like how you and I started talking, because it's like, hey, if we're going in that same direction, you know, dude, I'm happy to coach you, and I don't mind coaching competition. You know, if we can support you, cool. But also, it's like, hey, fuck, how much further could we get if we work together? Who knows?
100%. Yeah. I'm definitely of that abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And like the money is just, it doesn't disappear. It's just moving, you know? And so it's enough for pretty much, I found it really interesting. This is like my personal experience, but I would say a lot of people agree. In the creative space, sometimes it feels like people are just person against person.
Of
right?
course,
and
yeah.
It's like, and I mean, there is an element of like, yes, they are technically a competition, but I feel like when you see it that way and you act that way, it's like, you're not really doing anything to help the whole community. And it's like you could, like right now, I have a pretty good balance of, you know, if I can't take a job or something, I'm not just like, see you later. Like I literally just give it to another friend. And maybe they even get that client now. I was like, cool, he might have been a better fit.
Yeah.
And it's like that whole, and same thing for them though. Like when they have someone who like, if they can't, you know, I do like, main thing I do is sports and action. So they know if like there's a project like that and they're like, I'm not really sure, but Rich is your guy. Mm-hmm. And so it's like this whole ecosystem.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just like a healthier way and everybody wins.
Yeah, definitely. But like a lot of the people who make it in or who get to creative, they don't. I think the higher you get in business, the higher you get in revenue, the more enlightening, the more enlightened people are, right? And I think that a lot of people in the creative space don't get out of that, and they stay in that like cutthroat mindset, which sucks. Yeah. Because also it's like, you know, I would challenge you too. It's like, hey, reels are cool, but like, how do we make creative into a monthly recurring revenue product? How do we create it into a product? You know, that's a question that I would challenge you too, right? Like, you know, what popped up in so my business partner, Brendan, he, like last year he did like over $7 million, or no, last year they did 5.5, but the year before that they did $7 million in real estate marketing. And it's the same thing, creative, except you're shooting a box, and it gets a little boring over time. The thing is, it's under creative, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like I would challenge creatives who are listening to this too. How can you turn your skills into something that, number one, you're not going to have to do. Mm-hmm. Number two, you can hire and mobilize a team and create systems, and something that you have to produce like over and over and over again. So like, what are some ideas, bro?
Yeah, you know, that's actually really interesting because this is a conversation, and a lot of my friends, because if any of you guys watch this, I say all the time, it's like we're talking about our businesses, like, okay, what's the scalability of what we're doing right now? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, when we get to that part of it, because we get caught up in like this project, doing this thing, the visuals, the technical parts of it, how to make this beautiful, and cinematography and gear. But when we talk about like actual financials, that's where it's like, I mean, we're doing cool stuff and we're making like, wow, that's really nice. But then we started talking about it in a business sense, and that's where it all starts to crumble. Like we're just like undervalued, the situations are not optimal, it can't be outsourced. Because like right now, like for someone to replace me to shoot exactly what I shoot, there's a lower amount of people, or there's a smaller pool, right? Yeah. There's obviously people higher than me, but like that's harder to do that. But where the barrier of entry is lower, and this is why like I had my idea, is in these reels, you can do pretty great work and have it at a lower barrier of entry, where someone who has like an entry-level camera and a gimbal, maybe even a phone, I've seen it done too, but this is more like someone who is like, I want to do videography and has been in it for 5 months, 6 months. And so their benefit is like they're starting to get paid, and then you're like, okay, perfect. It's like a perfect mix, because now you can get rates that make a business sustainable. You could send them to go shoot your reels, because the reels aren't like, when I go to shoot a reel, I'm not a cinematographer. I'm not doing lighting, doing script. It's like, we're gonna make this nice, we're gonna pour the drinks, get cool transitions, it'll be beautiful. Maybe one light, right? That's about it. But that's something.
And you're talking about reels for like a restaurant.
That's an example I use, because that's kind of one of these spaces that I tend to lean into, like food, restaurant. But
and actually that's a great product, right? Like imagine you created an agency where all we do is restaurant reels. Because why? Because or even like clubs too. Like clubs, they have constant events, they have constant new things popping up, and it's like, hey, we will charge you, you know, $2,000 per month, every single month, and you're gonna get, you know, one event or something. You're gonna, you know, you can package it however you want, but see, the thing is that a lot of times creatives are creative, but they don't tie their work to results, right? Yeah. So it's like, what is this $10,000? See, if I'm going to shoot a $10,000 commercial, then I need to make at least 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, right? Yes. And a lot of times creatives can't turn that 10. They can't fucking talk about, or they can't, what's the word?
I get what you're saying. That's a really interesting thing. Because
what's the fucking word I'm thinking about though? That they can't articulate. They can't say how that $10,000 is going to turn into 50. Whatever. Sorry.
They can't. I get what you're saying though. Yeah. It's like pretty much. They can't tie it to the end result. I get what you're saying. I think the way, and this is from observation, because again, I have not broken into the high tier, premium, like highest level, right? But what I see is like when you go to mid-tier to high tier, they have the marketing teams that can then utilize that content. And then it makes sense. The Apples, the Googles, the Budweisers, they have, you know, they'll spend like Super Bowl, they'll spend ridiculous amounts for commercials, right? Sure. But they know how to then use that and turn that 1 million commercial into 10 million, right? Yeah. On the smaller scale, they don't have a marketing team or anything like that. Like a lot of it comes with like client education. Like, and if they don't have client education, you can make this $1,200 video, $5,000 commercial for your restaurant, and you give it to them, and they just post it as no good hashtags. Just post it at 11 o'clock at night. Doesn't know what to do with it, but then they expect it to just like bring in tons of sales. No marketing, no strategy at all.
Yeah, and that's where like you could like also like one up like, hey nightclub, we are gonna charge you $2,000 a month, and if you want to do like a $500 add-on, we'll also run the Facebook ads, and here's our formula on how we do it. Right,
100%.
You know, and that's the thing. Right? If you can start to and a lot of times, especially now with social media, right? You're looking at like all the marketing experts across the world talking about like, dude, this is all you need right here. So it's like if marketing experts, if you know these guys who are multi-millionaires and making a shit ton of money off of marketing with iPhone video for whatever industry, like if they're telling you to do it this way, it's like, dude, like you can't deny it. You can't say that this shit's not working, right?
Yeah.
And like even for me personally, man, like we have all the sales that we've generated so far are because of podcasts like this and breaking them down into short reels. And
I seen that. That was actually, I seen you guys are pumping them out. That's dope.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have a factory now, right? Like this podcast right now is being shot on an iPhone with DJI dual lav mics, right? And these mics are, you know, not cheap, but like $350 is not expensive either.
Yeah, it's a small package investment compared to what it could be, right?
Yeah, you know, and it's so yeah, man. Like I, again, to you creatives, like I would encourage you. What's going to be better for your health long term is instead of trying to sell a $10,000 commercial, how do you create $10,000 per month recurring revenue, right? And it's going to be hyper niching. It's going to be going after, you know, specific markets that have money. And, you know, dude, like there's, and also too, like I think all of you guys should learn how to outsource to the Philippines, to Vietnam is starting to look super good now. Latin America's amazing. Like, you know, India, there's all these different countries, right? And I would start like studying and going to Google, going to YouTube on like how to outsource. And this is for like the beginner people, because like I'm imagining that if you're watching this right now, you're listening to this conversation, you're resonating with it, you're probably still like at that, you know, under $10,000 per month level. For those of you who are already building bigger agencies, you know, and you're probably listening to this on the drive to work or something, and you just don't have time, but you need people, you can hit us up. That's cool. But yeah, dude, we can think of like so many different products right now, that we can put together that are monthly recurring revenue, that you can hire somebody else to shoot, somebody else to edit, somebody else to project manage, and you just facilitate.
And that's honestly the thing that and this is honestly, that concept is new to me, because I'm telling you, dude, like 6 months ago, I was like, I want to be a production company. Like that's just it. And then I do enjoy that, and I think I'll have elements of that, but I do want to be wealthy. Like I do in the future, like when I see like where I'm at, like I do want to have financial freedom in that sense, and it's scalability. It's being able to hire employees, outsource, being able to just go past you know, because what I've seen is like it's when you're in a production company, or especially if you're freelance, and you could be high-level freelance creative, right? You're tied to time. Yeah. You know, if I was going to take a month off, I'm pretty much losing a month of income. Right? Or I'm not getting anything. Yeah. And so that's when that exactly what you just said. That's on the small level, because it's a slow process for me, but that's what clicked to me. I was like, I can do these reels are a low barrier of entry. I can hire, I have tons of people I know who would be in that perfect for them. They're making money they're happy with. I'm making this, the client's happy. And once they kind of, you know, they have guidelines, there's a template of like, this is kind of the style and what we do. I can send them. once that contract, and now it's like my goal right now, the template is trying to get those monthly recurring, knock those out in a day, right? From shooting to edit. Because I know how long it takes. And this is what I think is probably is going to help me in this sense is like, I've done it. I've done editing. I've done shooting. So I know how long it takes. Because I've done it. I've knocked out 10 videos in like high-level videos, not as commercial, of course, but like content pretty fast. Like
so here's the thing, right? Like, and this is just some advice. So you are obviously someone who functions at a high. You function at like a high frequency. Okay. So just to set yourself up for success mentally, you need to know that most people are not going to function at that level, but if they can function 70 to 80% at whatever level, even half sometimes, right? And this is why I told you, like, for me to replace myself in my business, I have Emmanuel, who took over operations. I have Lizelle, who took over finance. I have Deo, who took over HR. I have Kim, who took over, like, the responsibility for pretty much the entire Philippines team. And I have Pepe with me, who he's like, you know, Pepe's doing pretty much all of our shooting right now. He's doing all of my BTS. He's managing all of my social media. I have... So those are the top 5 that I can think of right now, and I have Joe, who like he sets up appointments for me, who on the sales side, right? So I just show up and close. So like, but I guarantee you, I can shoot content better than Pepe. I can manage better than Dale. I can do billing better than Lizelle. I can do operations, but like, I can do all better than all of them, right? And some people say that might be a flaw too, because you should be hiring people who could do stuff better. But the thing is too, is like as an entrepreneur, like, and this is like, and actually, and I take that back. No, because every entrepreneur, high level entrepreneur that I know, if we put our minds to something, we can become the best, or you know, do things at a top tier very fast. If you are a true entrepreneur, your brain is wired that way, right? You know, again, like, dude, DP, I've never done it. I don't know. Give me the freaking cameras. I'll watch the YouTube videos. I'll get the experience. I'll shoot just as good as any other DP in a shorter amount of time that it took them. But that's just the way that my brain functions around these things when I'm obsessed with something. And that's another thing. It's like if you're like me listening to this and you become obsessed with things, because like I have a very addictive personality, man. Like when I get into something, I'm like super deep.
It's a good and bad. It's pros and cons.
Right. So coming back to you though, you know, don't have that expectation that like, because I can edit this in a day, because I can do this, because I can. That's definitely a struggle for me, because it's like getting to it's just being able to release some control, and that's what you have to do to be able to go bigger and have teams and stuff. Like you have to. So here's what you should do: is you should become very obsessed at first with building out the systems and the processes, and then from there become obsessed with sales. Like you need to put yourself in a position where you build this machine, where you put something in, and then something comes out, and you go sell that and be proud of that in the market, right? And basically, like, be patient with that process, right? So if it takes you 3 days, hey, we can deliver this in 7 business days, right? Because now, like this podcast that we're shooting now, I can edit this tonight. I can have it ready tonight. I can break down reels tonight. I can do all that tonight. But is that the actual best use of my time?
That makes sense. And also, that's a good point you brought up, because that's how I was thinking right now. But now that you mentioned that, that's for me right now, because at the beginning, it's going to be more on my plate. But then once delegation begins and other people start coming in, to expect that same level when they're not the same level, especially if I'm hiring people who are like, you know, a little more fresh to like shooting and stuff like that, but can still get the job done. That is a really good point. I hadn't even thought of that. That makes sense. Because if I set, like, for example, I just thought of this as a flaw of my own idea, which was basically like, if I say, because I could do it, I could do 1 day turnaround on your entire thing. If I set that as a standard, now clients are expecting that. Maybe these people I hire aren't able to do that. And then it's like, then I put myself in a situation where I'm kind of...
Yeah, and also, like, this is another thing too, right? So I'm going to do a visual for you that kind of helps me. Helps me when I'm thinking about like my own businesses and my own processes as well. So So we call it like the founder effect, right? So right now, like for example, my business partner Brendan in the real estate marketing world, he faces competitors where like, hey, we'll shoot your house today and your reels will be done tomorrow. Yeah, you can do that for now, but that's the founder's effect. That's currently you can do that because you're not dealing with so much volume, and you're if you're offering that, you're only going to be able to offer that for a temporary amount of time.
That makes sense.
Because when you start doing things at volume, you have to think of it like this. All right, visually speaking, if you were to make 10 hamburgers, what do you need, right? Think about this. If I'm cooking 10 hamburgers, I need one grill, and I could probably do everything on one counter. I cook the burgers here, and then I can put the buns, the cheese, the tomatoes, everything on one, right? Okay. And that's gonna, let's say I needed 10 burgers in 1 hour. I need 10,000 burgers in 1 hour now. Oof. Mentally, what's that picture look like? Well, you know, if each grill can only cook like, 30 at a time, I'll probably need this many, way more grills, right?
A different building, I don't maybe? Know. 2 buildings?
I don't know about 2 buildings, but I need stations that are just for grills. I need more grill stations. This first table's probably only buns. This next table, a few tables are only cheese. This next few tables are only condiments, right? And this is how, when you scale, right? Things need to go down, different departments and different tables in this case to make all these burgers, to make that same amount of burgers in one time. And when you're building something, you feel stupid because when you're building like this, this machine, this marketing machine, like, Pepe, how dumb did you feel when we were building? You're like, why do we have a phase 1, 2, 3, 4? Why do I gotta go in here? Right? It's like, it's dumb, but then it's like, oh wait, we hired 3 editors and they go here. Then we hired the copywriter, they go there. And then we hired a distributor, they go there. And then it's like, and then it makes sense when you start seeing the machine working. Yeah. But when you're the founder and you're all by yourself and you're like, why am I in a burger here? And then I gotta go here, then I gotta go here, and then I gotta go here. It's dumb because like I could just do it right here, which is what you're describing is I can just get it done right now fast.
That makes sense.
But so at the beginning, it doesn't feel natural. Yeah. It doesn't feel intuitive. It feels kind of weird, but that's how you have to scale.
That's kind of like planning for the capacity of what it will be in the future, but what it's not now, right?
Yeah, because like, dude, like this is sense. a lot of times, like for companies, like founders, like okay, one day you're going to have a CRM. It feels dumb when like I could just pick up my phone right now and call somebody, be like, yo, you want to buy my shit? Great, let me send you a contract. But it feels dumb when you add a step of like, let me go to the CRM, let me put this person in contact, create them a profile, leave a note that I called, okay? And then it's dumb to take these 10 steps. But then you'll know why you took those 10 steps when you have 5, 10 different salespeople selling your shit. Because then you can't scale a sales team with all 10 people calling leads and they all have private conversations that are not logged in a central database where everybody can access. It feels stupid. But now you're the founder, and because you took these 10 steps and you taught all these salespeople how to take 10 steps, when a salesperson's struggling, you can go log in the system and be like, oh, okay, dude, I see why you're struggling. Every time you're at this step, you keep fucking this up. They ask you what the price is and you tell them, but instead you don't build value first. And I can tell because of these steps here. Okay, if you want to close more deals, we have to build the value, and let me show you how. You got to make sure we take them through these steps, and then you give them a price. Yeah. Because if I tell you that this cup of water here is $100, what are you going to tell me?
No, dude.
You can get water for free.
Yeah.
Okay, this cup of water right here, bro, is going to make you have the best sex with your girlfriend she's ever had. It's going to add 10 more years on your life. And on top of that, you're not going to have any wrinkles on your face.
You got me. No, I was kidding.
Right, so with these systems, and bad example probably if there's girls watching, it's a little vulgar. But the point is though that I'm making is that when you're building these processes, it feels dumb. Yeah. When you're solo. But as you're building it, just start envisioning like, okay, how many steps when I'm doing this one thing in a day, how many steps am I actually taking, and how many different people can I break this away? And then after it's done, there's revisions. There's other shit that needs to happen. Who's going to handle those follow-ups, right? Like, you have to start thinking that one day, all these things are going to have departments.
Yeah.
And one day the people that you hire are going to be supervisors and then managers and then directors and then, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting thing. One of the things I'm kind of struggling with the concept of going from like the concept of a production company to like agency and stuff. So honestly, I battle my artist. And that's like such a struggle for me because I feel like I'm right in between of like artist, business, entrepreneur, and I'm trying to just blend the two because I constantly get into like a headspace of like, okay, how do I maximize? How do I get max profit? Things like that. But then that sometimes leads me to a space where I'm not doing things I genuinely enjoy and like is my skill. So then it's like it's kind of hard for me because like it's like the artist with the business side, and I'm like trying
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's say you took home $25,000 this month. You took it home. Okay, maybe half that goes to taxes, whatever, 13.5, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Will that feel pretty good?
Yes. The only thing I would say about that is I feel like I've never, up until this point, like I'm never going to say I was rich or super wealthy, but I feel like I've been very blessed to have many experiences and tons of freedom. Like I've never had a traditional job. Like I went straight from high school to teaching parkour just because I was like, I had an interview that was the worst interview of my life, and the dude was like a total dick and just like was just flexing power on me and made me feel stupid for no reason. And from that moment, I left that job interview. He offered me the job and I said no. I was like, I'm not.
So who pays your rent if you don't work?
No, I definitely agree with that. I'm just trying to like, because here's an example. When I think about the agency, I'm thinking about, okay, how do I do numbers, right? Like as you should for a business. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But then the thing that pulls me is the artist in me that wants to create the amazing pieces of like commercial work. But,
Sure.
You know, I'm making this agency as like high volume, easier, smaller form content, which has a higher ceiling for profitability, right? Like just, I could just see off like easily looking at both of them like, okay, this will make me more money. Well, it's just, I just bring that up because that's one thing I battle with as an artist and as a creative that just, sometimes like I do stuff just for the love, and it's not even like someone's getting over on me. Like me and my friends will create.
So let's come back to the original question. You paid your half your taxes. You got 13.5 in your bank. What's your rent per month?
Honestly, my rent's pretty low, like $750.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You paid $750, paid your car note, whatever. You got like $10K.
Yeah. Okay.
But because you built an agency that you were not passionate about, you don't even really like the work. You're just good at it. And now you actually have 90% of your time to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Then you go do what you're passionate about. And you know what? Passion's way better when there's no obligation.
That's true too. That's a good point too. Me and my friends will talk about that as well. And this is actually what some creatives tell me that keeps them from jumping into like, oh, making photography my thing or video getting money from it, is they don't want their passion to become like work. Like there's times where
it fucking sucks.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. There's times where I'm just doing these jobs and I'm like, I love this thing, but I'm not loving it right now.
Dude, this is why like I don't charge for coaching. This is why if somebody is an outsourced plug client, now somebody buys Market You, I will coach you for free. You're supporting me in one of these products that I thought of and I built, and you're paying me monthly. Hit me up. My business partner charges $750 an hour, which is cool for him, and I'm happy that he likes doing that, and that's what's up.
Yeah.
For me, I think coaching and helping and giving back is my passion, which is why I like doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
Right? Free game. You know, and it's like, dude, like why? And also too, mental health. And here's the thing: nobody can ever tell me like, Anthony, you let me down, bro. I knew that. I got depressed for months. This is why I don't charge you, because I'm going to give you value. You're going to buy one of these products that I don't have to manage, don't have to fulfill, don't have to do anything. I built a system for it. You bought that, and then when I'm mentally healthy and when I'm mentally available, I'll coach for you.
Yeah, that's a good thought process on that. That makes sense though, definitely.
It works for me, right?
Yeah.
It works for me, and I encourage creatives to think that way. Do something that you're not passionate about. Do something that you're just fucking good at. You're really, really, really good at, I don't know, whatever. Something that can make you a lot of money and get that money. And also too, like, here's another thing too. Okay, let's play the devil's advocate. Fuck it. Dude, do 12 hours a day as a DP, go fucking ham, live like shit, and put your money in real estate. and buy real estate to the point where you have $10,000 a month cash flowing 10K a month, do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking build a business that brings you all this money. You just have to figure out how to get cash flow to come in without you doing shit.
Yeah.
That's really the end goal,
Yeah.
because at that point it moves you to the investor class, right? And that's where we're all supposed to be heading, is to get our money to be slaves to us so that it comes back in. But it's like, there's multiple ways to get there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Live on a fucking couch, make $20,000. Like what's the most you can make as a DP in like a busy ass month?
For me personally, it really goes up and down. I've talked to a friend recently this last week. He's like, yeah, it's pretty calm, like 20K.
Okay.
20K on the shoot.
Go make 20K, live on a couch, spend fucking no more than $1,500 in a month. The rest of your fucking money, in 6 months, go buy property, fucking flip that. Like, dude, there's so many different ways to get it. You don't have to start an agency.
Yeah.
Because you can get cash flow other ways too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So just it's really just about like switching around your mindset, right? Hey Pepe, how deep are we in?
56 minutes.
Wow, dude, I'm pretty good at like calling that hour mark.
Damn.
Man. Yeah, I'm like I can feel like
I can feel the 56. You just have a twitch in your eye, like it's 56.
Yeah, man. So you know what? So with that being said, I'm gonna kind of like wrap this, and if we should have. Or we can have a follow-up conversation on this. So like if there are creatives that listen to this and they're like, dude, I want to know more, or I want to debate you. I want to, dude, I'm open to debate. I don't think I'm right about everything. I just know what's worked for me. I know what's worked for entrepreneurs who own creative businesses around me. And I've seen, dude, I feel my heart goes out to most creatives, bro. My heart goes out to most creatives because they will, most creatives that I know will forever be broke. And it's such a sad thing because they're so skilled, they're so good at what they do, but they let that inner creative completely take control of them, right? Yeah. So in any case, this is really the part of the podcast though where, I want, whoever's looking at this, and also this is the part where we break it down into short form content, someone's struggling right now. Someone is, they need some uplift in their life, man. So what do you say to that person right now who's thinking about giving up, who, is ready to put the camera down, ready to fucking, just end everything?
Definitely. Are you talking about just like on the mentality part, like the business side?
I'm talking anything.
Yeah, I'll just think of it like I'm talking to one of my friends. Well, honestly, I use myself as an example as a creative, and I feel like this is something that isn't talked about a lot, especially, in a lot of fields, but I'm going to speak from my own field, it's creative field. The lows of being a creative. It's an entrepreneur as well, but the lows of like for me, example, like sometimes there's highs and lows. The money is up here, I'm getting jobs every week, it's killing it. These are creative, fun, sports ads, this, that, this is awesome, getting free food, and it's just crazy. And sometimes it's crickets. And one thing that really helped me in those times is knowing that you're not alone. Like the other creatives, myself included, if you guys know me, this is like, and I don't mean to say this in any way that's like bragging or anything like that, but a lot of times when I meet people, they'll have a perception of my life that's and it's, we all do it on social media, we put our best foot forward, right? But they have this perception that like I'm killing it. Every business is just booming like crazy. Mm-hmm. Everything's so fun and exciting, and I'm just running around doing fitness and flips and working with people and living the life and traveling to Thailand. And it's all just like people talk to me like, "Whoa, dude, Rich, you're doing all this crazy shit." And on the reality, a lot of times it's like 8 hours a day. I don't even leave my house. I'm just editing. I'm emailing clients. I'm figuring out business structures, trying different proposal styles, just learning. And some of those days, it's just complete tank. And I don't always post that, I probably should do that because I appreciate it when people do that. But the biggest thing that I've appreciated in seeing people who are in the similar space from me is that you're not alone, and the people who look like they're killing it. And I've talked to many people who you look at them, 280,000 followers, 100,000 followers, you're getting all this money on these jobs, and then you talk to them personally. I'm one of those people as well that it's not always just, sunshines and rainbows. And that all of us creatives and entrepreneurs we go through these highs and lows, and those lows will happen. I think what's also helped me is knowing, and I use my past as an example. I've been through, it could be a breakup, it could be business failures. I've started a business, lost my friends. Like I've done that personally too. And it's just knowing that like, okay, I got over that part, you know, I could do it again. And the other thing too is in my highs, what I try to do is I try to build a system, a strong network of people around me. Cause I know, kind of similar to what you're saying, like with going up and down with like the bipolar, right? I know I'm gonna tank. Like I could be on a wave of just like, oh, going crazy, business is good, everything's good, and doing these events and blah, blah, blah. And then I know like sometime the next month and a half, it's gonna be a week or two and it's just gonna tank. And that's just what happens. I think it's natural. You know, it could be something that offsets it, but that happens. And now it's like in the highs, I remember that the high isn't gonna stay always high. So use that time, build good friendships, build like a good network of people to support you. And like luckily, like one thing I did is I've shout out to my homies on this one. I created a small mastermind group, and it's super tiny. Mm-hmm. You know, we're starting with 7 people, but I recognized that in myself. I was like, okay, I need a group of hustlers that I'm accountable to, that when I do feel low, I see their success, I see them grinding, and they also kind of pick me up. When I'm on that last stretch and it's at the end of the month or whatever, and I'm just like, man, I'm burnt out, maybe business isn't as good, and I'm kind of feeling low in energy, they just kind of drag me and they kind of uplift me. So really being like mindful of trying to set that up so when I hit the lows, I'm not just hitting rock bottom. Yeah. You know, it's like a trampoline.
Love that, dude.
Yeah.
Love that. So surround yourself with good people, man. And I hope that you'll come around my network a little more, and we'll get you a product built and put you in sales, man, because that's where 90% of our time needs to be, sales. Yeah. But with that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Also, if people want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Richvizual. So you spell it rich like money and V-I-Z for visual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, man. Thank you for actually coming down here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.